We've got some New York Knicks injury updates to get into on Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson. Ian Begley of SNY recently did a mailbag where he provided some inside access to these three players and when they may be able to return. And it sounds like some may not be ready for training camp. That's around the corner. But first, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. My boss has challenged all the Knicks fans out there to get us to 52,000 subscribers here on Knicks Now by the end of the month. I think we can get there on today's video. We're 157 subs away. If you love the Knicks and you want free videos every single day, subscribe to the channel. You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Let's dive into it. We're going to start with Brunson, then we'll talk about Randle, and we'll close the show with Mitchell Robinson. Jalen Brunson continues to rehab his broken hand and could be ready for training camp, according to Ian Begley. He has been working really hard all offseason long. We've seen some snippets of some workouts on his social media, and when he was announced as the captain of the New York Knicks, he was kind of making a joke of it, saying, "I'm fine. I promise I am fine." This is what Begley wrote in his article, saying, "It seems to me like he'll be ready for training camp." Brunson had surgery in mid-May to repair his broken left hand. During the celebration of his captaincy last week, Brunson didn't have any visible restrictions on his hand. At one point during the proceedings, MSG's Alan Hahn asked Brunson to give the crowd a thumbs up to show that his hand was in good shape. Brunson obliged and said, "Everything's good. Everything's good." Brunson added that his hand injury has been the only thing that's been on his mind since the summer started. His rehab, by all accounts, has gone well, so I'd guess he'll be a full participant in training camp. And this is awesome news for the Knicks, for Jalen Brunson, all the Knicks fans out there. This team is not the same without Jalen Brunson on the floor, and it sucked to see him go down in that Game 7 with a broken hand. At that moment, I think everyone realized the Knicks, they left it all out there. They just don't have any more gas left in the tank. And this will be fuel for Brunson. Hahn, like Begley mentioned, in that little write-up there, that Brunson was asked by Alan Hahn, if you had one takeaway from the season, what would it be? And he sat there for like 5 seconds and couldn't say anything. And then he was like, "I just keep thinking about that game against the Pacers, Game 7 at MSG where I broke my hand." And he wasn't able to be there for his teammates. This dude is the ultimate competitor, and he is going to use that hand injury as fuel, as I'm sure he already is, with his rehab this offseason and getting ready to go for this season. Look, Brunson's been awesome since joining the Knicks. He has revitalized a lot of people's fandom for this team. And what I love about him the most is when the lights are on the brightest, when he has his back against the wall and it's time to go get a W, he plays his best. He's given the Knicks an identity. He's given Knicks fans a player to wrap their arms around and fall in love with. He is my favorite player in the NBA, and he's going to take the Knicks to places they haven't been. The way he played in the playoffs this past year was unreal. 35.5 points per game and 9 dimes in that Sixers game. And then before getting hurt against the Pacers, gave you another 30 points and 6 assists. Would like to see him become a little bit more consistent, maybe take some smarter shots from downtown in the playoffs, but it's pretty rich for me to sit up here and critique him at this point. Took the discount, working back from injury, and he put New York Knicks basketball back on the map. We are lucky that Brunson is a Knick, and it sounds like we're going to be lucky to see him in training camp, ready to go in preseason, and he'll be ready to rock and roll in Game 1 of 82 against the Boston Celtics. Then the home opener a couple days after that, I think it's 2 days after that, against the Indiana Pacers. I'm expecting Brunson to be out there, and he needs to take it to the town to beat Tyrese Halliburton, because I am sick of it. And I'll say this much, all my homies hate Tyrese Halliburton. Show some love, though, to Jalen Brunson. We usually do type JB or type 11, but we're just typing C because he's the captain of the New York Knicks. Going to have that C on his chest maybe this year, maybe not. I think that'd be pretty cool. But type those C's, the new captain of the 2024 New York Knicks, Jalen Brunson. All right, let's talk about Julius Randle, as it's not all good news right now with his injury like it was with Brunson. Begley sounded a little bit more pessimistic to me about Randle being ready for training camp, and he was really unsure. He sounds like he might be ready to go for the first game of the regular season, but I'm not so sure he will be. We'll have to continue to see how he develops and how he rolls into training camp and what type of shape he is in with that shoulder that he had separated, which he had to have season-ending surgery on. Begley wrote this, quote, "Also on the injury front, We reported late last month that Julius Randle's rehab from right shoulder surgery was going very well. Randle underwent surgery in early April. The Knicks at the time said Randle would be reevaluated in September. Based on other timelines for shoulder surgery, it would be surprising if Randle were ready for the start of training camp. But if everything progresses well, he should be back on the court for the Knicks' October 22nd season opener against the Celtics or soon thereafter. Look, if Randle is not ready for the season opener, I don't think that it is the worst thing in the world. And I'm not going to rush him back from this injury. There is no need to put an 80%, 90% Julius Randle out there during the season opener. And if you remember last year, after Randle came back from that offseason ankle injury, he kind of got off to a slow start. And maybe we should have all realized at the time, speaking to myself a little bit more, that he came back from a major injury and he was knocking the rust off. Then he got back to his all-NBA, talking too much NFL, all-NBA and all-star performance soon thereafter. And he was playing arguably the best ball of his career. So what I'm going to say is there is no need to put him out there October 22nd against the Boston Celtics unless he is 100% ready to go. I understand Randle's a competitor. He wants to go out there even when he is hurt. He wants to play. And that is one thing I will always applaud about Julius Randle. But sometimes as an organization, you have to keep your players out of harm's way. And if Randle is not ready to go, don't play him. It's a long season. It's game 1 of 82. And he knows that this is a big year for him. He needs to stay healthy. He needs to produce. And he needs to be firing on all cylinders, playing the best basketball of his career when the playoffs get here. Because if he doesn't, it may just be the end of his time with the New York Knicks, because we have still not heard anything on him signing that contract extension, which means he is most likely going to be an unrestricted free agent when the summer comes around and free agency opens up, because he has a player option for 2025, 2026, and all signs point to him declining that. They could still come to an agreement on that extension. That window opened up, I believe, on August 3rd. We're just 2 weeks now past that, and it doesn't sound like a deal is going to get done. Big year for Randle. Want him to be healthy, need him to produce. He is the X factor for this team, and he's not ready to go at the end of the season, at the beginning of the season. Not the end of the world. Work him back and get him back into a spot where he could play an entire season and postseason at the caliber that he was before the injury happened. If he does that, if regular season Randle shows up in the playoffs, the New York Knicks will win the NBA championship. I promise you that. Make sure you are hooked up with our Chat Sports Knicks Now Real One t-shirts. With the season almost here, we're bringing them back. They're on the site, chatsports.com/Real Knicks. We've got our OG blue, and we've got our new black one on the site as well. Chatsports.com/Real Knicks. Get your Real One Knicks t-shirt today. That link will be clickable in the comments and description of today's show. The last piece of New York Knicks injury news that I wanted to talk about on today's video was the big fella, number 23, Mitchell Robinson. If you remember, Robinson had ankle surgery back in December. Then he had ankle surgery when he had to leave the playoffs for the New York Knicks. And it sounds like he still has a ways to go to be fully cleared for contact and to be ready to roll for training camp. Begley saying Mitchell Robinson is also rehabbing a surgically repaired injury this offseason. Robinson had surgery in mid-May to repair a stress injury to his left ankle. As of earlier this week, Robinson had not yet been cleared for high-intensity weight-bearing activities during his rehab, per people familiar with the matter. So Robinson has to clear several hurdles before he gets clearance to fully participate in training camp. And I'm going to be honest, of all the injuries we've talked about today, Brunson and Randle, this is the one I'm most pessimistic about, and this is the one that I am most worried about. This is my take. The New York Knicks cannot depend on Mitchell Robinson. It's not because of his play on the court. When he's healthy, when he's on the floor, he is one of the better big men in basketball. But it is too often that he is not on the floor. 30 games played this year, 59 games played the year before that, and 31 games played in 2020, 2021. So one time in the last 4 seasons, he has played more than 60 games. Season's 82 games. And the Knicks right now are entering a championship window. And they, in my opinion, cannot just rely on Mitchell Robinson as the starting center with no real legitimate backup center on this roster. I think they need to add a starting caliber center, or at the very least, a guy that they feel comfortable that they could start at that center spot, worst case scenario, in the playoffs if Robinson has to miss time. The centers that are on this team outside of Robinson, I mean, I guess you could call Precious Achiuwa a center. I'm going to call him that because that's all we got. But at the end of the day, he's 6'8", and he is just not really a center. He is best suited as a power forward. He's come out and said that before. And I think we've seen when he plays that power forward position, that's when he plays his best basketball. Is Jericho Sims ready to start a playoff game? Not to be mean to young Jericho, but I don't think that he is going to be able to play in the playoffs for the New York Knicks, especially as a starting center. I think they got to go out and make a trade. Jonas Valanciunas, who signed with the Washington Wizards, has been a name that I had heard a couple of times. He cannot be traded, though, until mid-December, so we're a ways away from that. Look, ideally, fingers crossed, Robinson doesn't miss a game. He plays every single game, and he plays like he did against the Cleveland Cavaliers back in the 2023 playoffs, where he severely outplayed Jarrett Allen. If Robinson could stay healthy, and he plays in the playoffs, and regular season Randle shows up in the playoffs, and the Knicks don't have to deal with injuries, they are going to win the NBA Finals. That's how special this team is. But can you depend on a guy who in the past has showed you more often than not he is going to play less than 60 games in a season and suffer some severe injuries at the time? It's not because of the play. It's not because of what he can do on the floor. It's the fact that he's just not on the floor enough, and that is very worrisome for me. What's your confidence level in Mitchell Robinson for this season? 1 to 10, 1 being you're not confident, 10, you are 100% confident he's not going to get injured this year. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you are following me over on social media. I'm tweeting about the Knicks. I'm posting about the Knicks at Marshall Green _ is. Yeah, Marshall Green _ That's my Twitter handle and Instagram handle. Holler at me over there. It's been a long day. Been a long week. Just ready for Knicks basketball. 68 days away from taking the Celtics down on ring ceremony night. So hit me up. Follow, like, subscribe. Do all the things YouTubers say you do. Support the channel. Be a real one. Let's go, Knicks.